councillors have been so keen to sign the Palestine pledge as councillors because it puts on record their support for Palestine and distinguishes them from the position taken by the leader of the Labour Party.
The Israeli embassy told us the campaign is a disgraceful effort at intimidation and calls for a boycott should be rejected. And some in Labour are concerned about these kinds of tactics.
I see Palestinian Solidarity Committee trying to interfere in local elections in the UK and encourage councils to develop their own foreign policies. I think it's a dangerous road to go down. I think undoubtedly it could create tensions in some communities.
This is your highest viewership ever. Congratulations. That's not true. No. I'm being botted, but hopefully they can't take that away from me. My highest viewership ever is 314,000 on the last election night.
The UK government say they formally recognise Palestine to protect the viability of a two-state solution and create a path towards lasting peace. Hackney Council, meanwhile, told us they're committed to taking further steps towards divesting their pension fund investments. But with Labour's control of councils across the country at risk, every new Palestine pledge adds to the pressure. Amanda Acas, Sky News, Hackney.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk about the idea of Palestinian statehood. But what would that actually look like?
The fact that the news put Labour friends of isn't real on the screen while he talked about foreign policy issues impacting councils is funny. You have to understand, it was quite difficult to find the one guy who hasn't been arrested for pedophilia. Okay. What's even the point of view botting you? It just vindicates what you were saying. It's for people who don't know, who many of which will come in here and be like, oh my God, there's a lot of people watching. What the fuck's going on? But it's for people who don't know, so they can be like, Hassan is a view botter now or some shit. Maybe they, yeah, I called out Asmongold. Before for botting. What makes this time different? He was getting heavily botted today, more than usual. He had like 100K. And then as soon as I called it out, all the bots left Asmongold's stream and came here. Well, not all the bots, but some of the bots left Asmongold's stream and came here. But the reason why they're doing that is so they can probably use it as an argument in the future. But they don't understand that, like, I'm very up to date with this stuff, and talk about it all the time, very transparently. Like, I just brought up the fact that my highest viewership was 314,000. If you notice, like, the bots picked up and they're now jumping up again. It's got to be an incredibly costly initiative too. No shot. Hassan got 217K viewers. No way. Bot of the hell. Yes, chatter. You're not making a like a crazy assessment here. They bought a stream. They just assume something horrifying happened in the world. But I don't understand why they're doing it. Like, I don't know what the goal is here. Yeah. Careful, the advertisers on your channel might cancel. I don't want to stop hearing about the Piker Broadcasting Service and who is sponsored by it. Exactly. Like, if I had advertisers on my fucking channel, and you screenshotted this and you sent it to them and you were like, this guy's obviously botting all this shit, you know, that would mean one thing. Except I'm sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers, so it doesn't mean anything. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you and your subscriptions, your voluntary contributions in the form of a Twitch Prime, which is free, by the way, or a $6 a month subscription is the only way to support the show. Ironically enough, which is precisely the reason why nothing will happen. Nothing will come of this. Twitch sent out a notification about the viewer jump. Yeah, this is what's so crazy. He's being bought at Twitch. You need to turn this feature off for Hassan. I thought World War III had kicked off. First of all, no, Twitch shouldn't turn off their feature for me. What the fuck's wrong with you, Joship girl? Are you stupid? Yeah, let's take another fucking... Let's take from Hassan another initiative, another way to like inform his fucking audience. Let's just fucking blacklist me, actually, because it hurts because you wanted to make a fucking joke. Sanzu Pill, thank you for the 5 gifted. G-Vebs, thank you for the 5 gifted. Anyway. Yeah. At 1:30 PST, they leave. Look. They left his stream. He had 100K viewers, and now he's down to 45 again, which, again, may or may not be botted by a different service. And then, boom, right as soon as they leave, they come here. And even the spike in like new followers coming in is probably because there's new real viewers that tuned in just because they saw me at such a high number, and then they followed to chat. It's so funny. We got Fossilbot going, we're being viewbotted, hence the large viewership number. Twitch will deal with it. Please focus on the topic on the stream. What is this? Asmongold molding over a new video debunking IQ just dropped. Exposing the grift. Debunking Asmongold on IQ in less than 10 minutes.
Most ironic social media posts of all time. Asmongold makes the claim, in response to Mehdi Hassan, that the average IQ in Somalia is 68, and that this claim isn't racist, but a fact. What makes this post ironic is the very last bit, where Zach claims Hassan's tweet is an attempt to push a narrative. Well, not only is this Asmongold's attempt to push a narrative, but the claim itself that African people have low IQs is also an attempt to push a narrative. That number typically traces back to the work of Richard Lynn.
Yep.
This guy, a literal self-described scientific racist. This man was part of a secret eugenics conference where, and I'm not joking, there were people favorably arguing in favor of pedophilia. So, yeah, this is the guy Asmongold is quoting. Lynn published a paper in 1982 called IQ in Africa in the pseudoscientific journal The Mankind Quarterly, a white supremacist outlet that is currently maintained by the hilariously named Human Diversity Foundation, a far-right white nationalist company. In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of sub-Saharan Africa was around 70. Notice I said sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, Lynn's argument was that a continent that consists of about 50 countries all had a similar very low IQ. The obvious problem with this argument is that Africa is huge and there are over 1 billion people with over 1,000 different ethnic groups. Nigeria alone has more than 200 ethnic groups, and that's a single country. Do you think Lynn tested every ethnic group in Nigeria, let alone the rest of the continent? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, the important part is other psychologists went back and actually checked Lynn's work. Wichartz, Dolan, and von der Maas published a systematic review in the journal Intelligence looking at IQ data from sub-Saharan African samples. What they found was that because African countries are developing countries, they hadn't experienced the variables that caused the Flynn effect, such as improvements to nutrition, healthcare, and even toys. In other words, the environment is the most relevant variable in determining one's IQ score, not genetics. But let's rewind for a second because I mentioned something that you all may not be familiar with, the Flynn effect. The Flynn effect is the observed rise in IQ scores over time. Basically, if you gave an average person from 1901 a modern IQ test, they would score dramatically lower than the people of today. Not because they were genetically predisposed to being less intelligent, but because IQ tests measure certain types of abstract reasoning, pattern recognition, and problem solving that modern societies train us in constantly.
We're going to take a quick voyage over the cognitive history of the 20th century, because during that century our minds have altered dramatically. As you all know, the cars that people drove in 1900 have altered because the roads are better and because of technology. And our minds have altered too. We've gone from people who confronted a concrete world and analyzed that world primarily in terms of how much it would benefit them, to people who confront a very complex world. And it's a world where we've had to develop new mental habits, new habits of mind. Now, this dramatic